Shalom, friends. This is Yahweh Shofar. This is the Sabbath part 2. And as we are discussing, the true Sabbath begins at Friday sunset and ends at Saturday sunset. And we will be using the scriptures from the Hebrew Roots translation of the scriptures. Now turning to Exodus 31, verses 12 through 17. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "And you speak the sons of Israel, charging them, only my Sabbath you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you for all your generations, to know that I am Yahweh your sanctifier. And you shall keep the Sabbath, for it is holy to you. The profaners of it shall surely be executed, for everyone doing work in it, that soul shall be cut off from the midst of his people. Work may be done 6 days. On the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, holy to Yahweh. Everyone doing work on the Sabbath day shall surely be put to death. And the sons of Israel shall guard the Sabbath, to observe and do the Sabbath for their generations. It is a never-ending covenant. It is a sign forever between me and the sons of Israel. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he was rested and was refreshed." And now to Ezekiel 20, in verse 12, "And also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am Yahweh, who sets them apart." In verse 20, "And to guard my Sabbaths, and to keep them holy, and they shall be a sign between me and you, that you may know that I am Yahweh, your Elohim." The Apostle Paul, or Shaul, stated in Acts 20, verses 29 and 30, "For I know this, that after my departure grievous wolves will come in among you, not sparing the flock." Paul said also in 1 Thessalonians that there would be a great falling away, men falling away from the truth. Now we go into verse 30 of the same scripture. "And out of yourselves will rise men speaking perverse things, in order to draw away disciples after themselves." The Apostle Kepha, or Peter, stated in 2 Peter 2, verses 1 and 2, "But false prophets were also among the people, as also false teachers will be among you, who secretly will bring in destructive heresies, in denying the master who has bought them." In Revelation 2, it talks about the first congregation in the letters that lost its first love, and this is the early congregation or assembly. In verse 2 it says, "Many will follow their destructive ways, by whom the way of truth will be evil spoken of." And this is what happened in so-called Christianity. The Emperor Constantine was the first to officially make the Sunday law, the first official Sunday law. He was a follower of Mithras. So what happened here is he amalgamated paganism with the Messianic worship, and compromised with mixing the world with Christianity, or so-called Christianity, and perverted the true gospel. The Sunday law of Constantine states that all judges and city people and craftsmen shall rest upon the venerable day of the sun. Country people, however, are freely attend the cultivation of the field, because it frequently happens that no other day are better adapted or to planting the grain and furrowing of the vines in the trenches, so that the advantage given by the heavenly province may not be for the occasion of short time perish. That is from March the 7th, 321 AD. The dates for Christmas and Easter also come from Constantine and the Council of Nicaea. Let's read some of the some quotes here from church officials or authorities. "Nowhere in the Bible do we find that Yeshua or the apostles ordered that the Sabbath be changed from Saturday to Sunday. we have the commandment of Yahweh given to Moses to keep holy the Sabbath day, that is, the seventh day of the week, Saturday. Today, most Christians keep Sunday because it was revealed to us by the Roman Catholic Church outside the Bible. And this is from the Catholic Virginian, October 3rd, 1947. Question: have you not any other way of proving that the Church has power to institute festivals of precept? Answer: had she not such power, she could not have done this, in which all modern religionists agree with her. She could not have substituted the observance of Sunday, the first day of the week, for the observance of Saturday, the seventh day of the week. A change for which there is no scriptural authority. Stephen Keenan, A Doctrinal Catechism, 3rd edition, page 174. From the Moody Bible Institute, Sabbath before Sinai. The Sabbath was binding in Eden, and it has been enforced ever since. The fourth commandment begins with the word remember, showing that the Sabbath had already existed when Yahweh wrote the law on tablets of stone at Sinai. How can men claim that this one commandment had been done away with when they admit that the other 9 are still binding? Dwight L. Moody. Now let's look at the Sabbath in New Covenant Scriptures. In Acts 13, verse 14, and going through from Perga, they came to Antioch, Pisidia, and going into the synagogue on the day of the Sabbath, they sat down. Verse 42, but the Jews having gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles begged that these words be spoken to them on the next Sabbath. Verse 44, in the coming Sabbath, almost all the city was gathered to hear the word of Yahweh. Acts 17:2, and according to Paul's custom, he went into them and reasoned with them from the Scriptures on 3 Sabbaths, showing us that the Sabbath is not just for the Jews. Acts 18:4, and he reasoned in the synagogue on every Sabbath, persuading both Jews and the pagans. Now, the Sabbath starts with remember, and this is the one that most people forget, as we said before. Now let's start with the supposed first day of the week. John 20, verse 1, and on the first of the Sabbaths, the 7-week count to Shavuot, Mary Magdalene came early to the tomb, darkness yet being on it, and she saw the stone had been removed from the tomb. Now if you go to the King James Version, where it says first day of the week, you will notice that the word day is in the italicized form, meaning that it wasn't in the original language. So it should have said first of the week, not first day of the week. The word day is in italicized form in the King James. Acts 20 in verse 7. And on one of the Sabbaths, the disciples have being assembled to have a fellowship meal together, being about to depart the next morning, Paul reasoned to them, and he continued his speech until midnight. This is not showing a communion meal on the first day of the week. This is one of the first of the Sabbaths on the count to Pentecost. In 1 Corinthians 16:2, and after the first of the Sabbaths, let each of you put aside and keep in his house whatever he can afford, that there be no collections then when I come. This is not talking about an offering service where people are collecting offerings. It's talking about one of the Sabbaths in the count to Pentecost, at the first of the Sabbaths. And that is when the wave sheaf was offered. Yeshua was resurrected on the morrow after the Sabbath, which was the first of the week. And here is the timeline on the resurrection and crucifixion. We're not going to talk about that in this video, but I'll go over it in a future one. So man likes to change Yahweh's times. Colossians 2:16 and 17. Therefore, do not let anyone outside the body create a disturbance among you about eating and drinking, or how you should keep a feast day or a new moon or the Sabbath day, which remain shadows of coming things, but the body of Messiah. So the body of Messiah is the only one that can judge in such things. And we'll finish this video with Isaiah 66 verse 23. And it shall be from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, all flesh shall come to worship before me, says Yahweh. And this shows that the Sabbath will never be done away with. Thank you for watching. Yahweh bless.